My grandfather helped me get a good job and earn an associate's degree. Eventually, my grandparents offered to sell me their house so they could retire in Arizona. Every year, the cold weather was making her health worse, so my grandmother wanted to move to a warmer place. It made me sad to see them go, but I was glad to buy the house. They gave it to me for a third of what it was worth. It will be paid off in a few more years. Because of my job, I have to go on the road from time to time. That means I might not be able to come home for weeks at a time. This doesn't bother me though. I don't have any pets, a lover, or other things like that. I don't have time for them right now. I'll make time in a few years though, when I have some things in order. I do not want to be single for all time. Then in late 2020, I came home after being away for more than 2 weeks to find a big white van in my yard that I didn't know. When I was about to call the cops, I saw that the van had my parents' business logo on the side of it, and I was scared. They were there. They got in somehow and were now living in my house. And they were so rude as to greet me like we were old friends as soon as I walked in. They wouldn't leave because it was Grandma and Grandpa's house, even though I told them to. I told them it was no longer their house. When they got old, they sold it to me. If they knew anything about my life, they would have known that. But 10 years ago, they threw me out with the dogs without any life experience. We had a fight, and they wouldn't leave. The first house I heard about was my dad's folks. In other words, he and my mom could live there if they were interested. I went straight to my bedroom, locked the door, and called the cops. The police didn't help when they got there. The truth is that my parents lied to them when they said they had lived there long enough to have residency, but there were no cameras to show that they hadn't been there for a month. My neighbors did not have any cams either. They said they had squatters' rights, so it was my word against theirs about how long they'd really been there. People told the cops that they had a verbal lease with me, and that I was trying to kick them out without a reason. My mom even broke down in tears when she said that. The cops told me it was a family argument, and that I should ask the courts to evict them. This happened in 2020. Because of the outbreak, it took longer to get to court for anything. At the same time, my parents are living in my house without paying rent and making fun of me. From what they told me, their business failed, and to pay off their bills, they sold almost everything they owned. The van and a few personal items were all they had left behind. In other words, they thought they could live in my house for free for a while. They also had work to do. They both quickly found new jobs. My dad works as a delivery driver, and my mom works in sales. They were making money, and the only things they fixed were the water and power, which meant they just gave me a $100 bill every month and told me to be thankful they were paying me anything. The only time they would talk about rent was when I took 18 years of their lives. They said I owed them rent-free living. Plus, they weren't asking for the money back at that time. Then they said they would no longer help with the bills. I was so stressed out that I called my grandparents to tell them what was going on. They were very upset and told my parents about it. They said they could stay in my house anyway though, and wouldn't move. Grandpa told me he was sorry this had to happen, and that my parents wouldn't have moved in if they hadn't sold me the house. I told him not to stress out. I had already asked the court to kick them out, and I would soon get it. And my parents knew they didn't have much time left. I made sure that my parents could hear me say that. The way they reacted was to be quiet. Dad was away most of the time because he drove a delivery truck 6 days a week, a job he didn't really like. And when she had free time, my mom tried to take over my house. After telling me that my parents were my parents and deserved better, she made me move things around in my living room, and even tried to make me give her and my dad the master bedroom. They tried to make me feel like I owed them something, but I told them they didn't deserve better and to stop it. I didn't want to be born. Along with that, parents have a duty to raise their own kids.